Hello, and welcome to the Homeschool Conversations Africa podcast. Here, we discuss homeschooling from the African perspective and the unique challenges that come with it. If you're considering homeschooling, we hope to inspire you as you take this bold step. If you're already a homeschooler, we're here to share encouragement for this wonderful journey we're on to educate our children in the best way we can. We are your hosts, Jifa Andam and
Carissa Neti Mabel.
Let's dive right into today's conversation.
Previously on Homeschool Conversations Africa.
We're excited today to have a friend in our midst. Her name is Adesola Lajuwomi. Adesola is an unschooler, and I know this is a topic that a lot of us are interested in. So Carissa and I are excited to have her on the show today to talk about unschooling.
Firstly, I think the term unschooling already kind of gives the energy that we're anti-school. I think it I feel like it has a negative connotation with it, by the word unschooling in itself. When in fact, I see it as pro-choice rather than anti anything. I think it has so many layers, really. It's about much more than education. It's about slowing down in this very busy world of ours. I think it's about respecting young people as we would any adult. And I think it's about living, really living, being present in all the moments, big or small. Kind of being conscious and intentional about what, who, and where we expose our children to. I think if I could describe our path in one word, I think it would be freedom for me. This journey of ours,
Okay.
That's my own little definition in a sense.
I love looking at pictures on your Instagram page, and friends, I don't think we mentioned it earlier, but Adesola is on Instagram at raising.id. So that's raising, like raising kids, raising.id. So you can certainly find her there. And I definitely
honestly, you make me want to move to Abuja almost all the time. Every time I see your post, I'm like, I need to come to Abuja because I just love watching your kids going outside, exploring. You can just see how much they enjoy it. It's exactly what I want for my child, but it's just that we don't have as many spaces. Yeah.
I think it involves a lot more, right? Carissa and I were speaking about this some months ago in Accra, when I was in Accra, because the traffic. Accra is not quite like Lagos, but it's much more like Lagos than it is like Abuja, right?
Like Abuja, yeah.
Yes, so Abuja is calmer. Abuja has parks and things, more of those things that you can do.
So Adesola, what are some benefits that you'd say unschooling has? So first of all, please talk in general terms, and then maybe also dive deeper into how it has benefited your family as well.
Okay. So generally, I would say the benefits of unschooling allows us to slow down, allows us to be present, and it allows us to really observe our children's interests and follow their lead. For our family, it's allowed us the opportunity to be able to go to lots of amazing places, field trips that in school I think children probably have once or twice a year. We're able to experience pretty much every single day. Yes, we're able to spend a lot of time outside amongst nature. My two mainly spend a lot of time in their sand pits at the moment. And personally to us, I'm a very spontaneous person. So unschooling sits well with me and our family in that sense. It gives me flexibility to, spend our days according to our moods. And it coincides with us just living life, really. My husband is more, likes to be more scheduled. He likes his routine to be quite, on time, on point. So I mean, it's a nice mix of both. That's like the things that we definitely do all together, like our 5:30 p.m. dinner is a must. So there's still routine within our unscheduled days, unstructured days. Yeah. So it works. I think they're getting the best of both worlds, the kids, in that sense.
So I just want to clarify a bit, and I'm sure maybe our listeners might have this question. So does it mean that for your young children, you are not necessarily putting any pressure on them to sort of learn their alphabets and their numbers and, those kinds of things that we traditionally expect that a young child would be learning? Or how do you go about that in unschooling?
And might I just add something, Adesola, so you can answer it all at once, because I know your kids are just 4 and 2. So maybe that's even still a bit young, even for for, well, maybe not for public school, but traditional homeschoolers or other schools, but maybe think of them as 6 or 5 and 7. Yeah. And then kind of answer from that point of view.
Yes, the unschooling method does not focus on learning, let's say, a curriculum in a forced, coerced kind of manner, let's say. It's not, I mean, the parent themselves has to be very conscious and intentional about learning themselves. So, for example, if we're cooking or if we're, even if it's getting ready, we can talk about the time. The kids are pretty good with their hours now. They talk about the days of the week because they're excited about their Thursday play group to see their friends. So we talk about the days of the week. Little things from just going up and down the stairs and counting. And of course, we read lots and lots and lots of books. And that's how they mainly have learned, or, well, not learned, memorized their alphabets and numbers and shapes and colors. So it's through a lot of reading, mostly, for us. But I'd say there isn't any. They love their books. They've always been around lots of books everywhere since they were babies. So reading is just a part of our everyday for them. It doesn't really matter where, dinner table, breakfast, even if we're out at parks and things, they're surrounded with books. So yeah, it's learning is a part of everything we do, really. It's not one or the other. We don't separate it from our everyday lives. It's just that if you want to unschool, I'd say that you have to be very intentional about giving your children the right resources and environment to see them, to help them, basically, to help them to be able to pick up all these things as well.
I think that's great. I think that's great advice overall. Like, I'm sitting here like, yeah, this is good. and I think it comes so unschoolers definitely have to be this way, right? Because there's not going to be, shall I say, a formal setting where you're it's time, it's time for school. So you just have to do this throughout your day. But I think this is good advice for all parents, period. Like, as you do think, so that kids don't, I've been thinking about this a lot, even with my children. I'm trying not to call our schoolwork work these days. I try to just mention the thing like, oh, what are you doing in your math? Or I'm like, have you done your work? Because it just seems to have a negative connotation to it. And I really, really, really love what you said about parents being conscious about learning themselves, so that children don't feel like okay, learning happens, at this time or in this room, or it's only in the mornings, but they do realize that, we are lifelong learners and we are learning all the time. It can be morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time. And the other thing that I'm picking from what you said, which seems to be very important, I'm thinking like, okay, so what will unschooling look like if you guys did not love books? Because truly that's it. Like most of our learning is from the books that we read.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I don't know if you can answer that, but
yeah, I think homeschooling and libraries are like 1 and 2. It's like homeschooling in any country, the main place where you'll find homeschool children is in the library. Whether I just I feel like that's our main way of learning. I can't think of any homeschooler that their children don't love reading. Personally, when we were in the UK, the libraries was just across the road from my mom's place, so we spent loads of time in there. They had breastfeeding classes and baby and toddler play groups and mommy and me groups, and we it was our second home kind of thing. So it's been a part of our culture forever, and I'm praying that I'll be able to open one in Abuja by God's grace.
That would be awesome.
I feel like it's so important for our young people to have access to stories, and it's a beautiful way to learn about everything and anything.
Really. I mean, that's what they say.
Is true. I think homeschoolers do prioritize reading and books above everything else.
Yeah.
So,
because how else do you learn, right? That's what what they keep saying. Like if you, at least for those who do the more traditional homeschooling, it's like if you don't do anything, if you think your day is not going well and you can't get to the things you normally get to, just once your kids are reading, just leave them, and they're going to be fine, because then they're still learning. So I think Adesola has already given us somewhat of a picture of what her days look like, right?
Okay.
Because lots of outdoors, but is there anything else you'd like to say that you have not told us about your typical days, the things that you
do? So I can run you through my day quickly.
Okay.
Basically, so my husband, he wakes up at 4 a.m. most days. He'll read, journal, meditate, exercise, and then I get up around 6:30. I'll make his breakfast, pack his lunch, we have a little chat, and then he's off to the office by 8:30. So then Desiree wakes up around this time, and we have a bit of one-on-one time. Her brother wakes up around 8:39. He likes to sleep, so so we have a bit of one-on-one time, me and my daughter, and normally we'll make breakfast together, get dressed, pack lunch, and most days we'll be in the car by 10 a.m. heading out somewhere. I normally will pick an activity or a place or somewhere to go the night before. And I find places on Instagram, on Google Maps. It can be kind of based on one of the kids' interests or something they've been talking about, or if not, then it would most likely just be a park that we maybe haven't been to, or something local to us. And when we're out, we'll have discussions about nature. We'll see lots of different people, and normally it's just lots of play, lots of unstructured time for them to explore. And then we're home most days by 4 p.m. and that's I have a house help, so she cleans the house and preps for dinner, and then I come home, I cook, and sometimes the kids will help if they're not too tired, or they'll play together, or yes, if they're knackered, then they'll watch TV for a bit, and then we all have dinner together. We catch up on our days, and then the kids, we start winding them down at 7:00, and then normally asleep by 8 on a good day. So that's how normal days run, really. So
there's a lot of time spent outside. Do you do this daily, like every day?
Most days, yes. Most days is around 6 hours. Just unless the kids aren't feeling very well, or at the moment it is super duper hot out there. So it has to be broken up a bit more. So sometimes we can be like out from 10 to 12, come home, have lunch, 12 to 1, and then they'll play downstairs in their sandpit until about 3 sometimes as well. So it's still mostly out of the house. I don't enjoy being inside too long.
It sounds like such a nice day. Like, do you ever get stressed? I don't think you would be, because it just feels like, oh, it's nice, we relax, we're not trying to finish anything by any time.
I feel more stressed when we're inside all day, because as soon as we're indoors, my children will then be asking for their screens more. When we're inside, like, even if it's just to go downstairs for a walk, there's like they completely forget about screens. And and then if we're at home all day, the house is like upside down, and you're just constantly going around in circles tidying up. So for me, like, being outside just takes half of the pressure off of parenting in general anyway.
That makes sense.
I think that it's easier for people to kind of imagine unschooling for younger ages. Like, this sounds so perfect for like young kids being outside and like enjoying nature and interacting with the world around them. But then I think a lot of us have a little bit of trouble when it comes to the older ages. Like, so what do they do at that point? Like, we kind of expect that, they'll be in school, like sitting behind a desk and, doing some work and all of that. So could you kind of tell us what how it works with older children? Like,
so I mean, I don't have experience in that area yet. So I'm mainly hearing from on-school families that have teens, and through Instagram, through podcasts. I've joined some talks on Clubhouse as well, to get an idea of how to navigate when the kids get older. And what I've heard is that they're basically explaining that giving the right foundation, children and teens will still love learning. I think what I'm hearing recently is that when the kids get older, it's like they're no longer allowed to learn through play. So so the joy of learning is kind of being sucked as they turn into teens. And so the older on school parents now are asking why is that the case? Why does learning then have to become work, as Jifa put it? And I think as times are changing now, like, even the career options are changing from what they used to be. Like, there's more people involved in creative fields that, most likely you don't have to do a certain curriculum or certain types of, let's say, formal learning to progress in that field. Like, if you're interested in something tech or robots, then even as a teen, your learning will most likely look to a lot of people like play. You know what I mean? They'll be tinkering with bits and bobs and things like that. So I think as times are changing, I think we definitely have to as homeschoolers, I think we should also listen to our teens and give them as much flexibility to choose their path as possible. I think we need to, allow them to say, okay, I'm not interested in maths, or I don't like science, or whatever it is, and allow them to kind of, make their own decisions, make their own mistakes, and allow them to learn in that way, if that makes sense.
I'm not gonna lie, that's hard. Let me tell you.
I know.
I don't, like I'm all for find your kids' interest, try to help them like find out what they're interested in, support them and all that. But I've always every time I hear child-led, Carissa, even Montessori, I'm like, what does child-led exactly mean? Because I feel like there are some things that they have to be taught. Okay, that's me. I'm just really speaking from my personal point of view, from my kids. And then I look at my son and I'm like, child-led, his child-led is going to be like video games if I allow him all day. I'm like, I don't know about this. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but that's I guess that's the fear. And I kind of have a feeling like, maybe if you test it, just try it and see that it could work. But it's a real trust issue, this whole unschooling thing. Like, you gotta trust.
Completely, 100%. Yeah. Yes, you do.
And let's be honest, kids do make wrong choices too, right?
Of course. So do adults.
Yes, exactly. But I want to think kids make more wrong choices. I don't know. This conversation is interesting.
Yeah. I think it's just hard, letting go of, because like you're saying, maybe you're just afraid that they're going to make a wrong choice. That will sort of cascade into more wrong choices, So how do you deal with that? Do you have that fear?
We'll have to wrap up here, but we will continue this conversation in our next episode, so do join us then. Thank you for listening to the Homeschool Conversations Africa podcast.